Hello everyone, welcome. In this episode we're gonna see how to implement Firestore in our app, so let's get started. First, I would like to create a recipe model to define the structure of recipe. The recipe model will have a title, description, and the asset URL of the recipe image. Once we created the recipe model, let's create a list with our recipes, and now we can create the recipes widgets by mapping the list. In order to implement Firestore in our app, first let's add the SDK's dependencies that we're gonna use. With our dependency added, let's configure our Firebase project. For this, we need to run the command flutter fire configure in the terminal and then select our Firebase project. To store our recipes in Firestore, first we need to define a collection. In this example, our collection will be recipes where we want to store the recipes. For each recipe, we will create a document to store the recipe data. Before I start reading recipes from the collection, let's define the Firebase store rules. In this case, we only need read permissions since we don't want that the user can modify the recipe. To create the Firebase rules in our project, let's run the command firebase init and then select Firebase option. Once the configuration files are created, let's create a folder named Firestore and move the Firebase files to that folder. And now we need to update the Firebase JSON with the new path of our files. Once we have our Firebase rules defined, let's deploy the rules to Firebase by running the next command, Firebase deploy only Firestore rules. In order to initialize Firebase, we need to do it in our main file. To load our recipes, let's create a recipe repository. In order to read recipes from Firebase, we're gonna use Firebase Store as dependency in our constructor. And finally, we can replace the hard-coded recipes values by loading the recipes from Firebase by using the recipe repository. We have successfully implemented Firebase Store in our app. We achieved to load the recipes from our Firebase project in the Firestore database. And now we can add and update the recipes in an easy way, making our app content dynamic. This is all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. So until the next time, bye.